I've come a long way since I accepted Jesus Christ as my Savior, and my life before that was one that was in desperate need of Him. I was raised Catholic and didn't really know much about Jesus growing up, other than the fact that He was God's Son and He died for us on the cross. I also never really read the Gospel, besides the stuff that read to us in Mass, and as I got older, I really got the mindset that I could control everything that happened to me, and this led to developing a lot of anger and frustration and jealousy. Anytime something didn't go the way I thought it was supposed to, I would revert to all these negative attitudes, and never once would I turn to God and ask Him to lead me. I look back now and I realize that it was very sad that I thought that the only thing I needed in life was sports and nothing else. And the older I became and the more serious I got with these sports, the worse this terrible habit progressed, until finally God decided to throw something into my life that would break me down physically, mentally, and spiritually. By the time I got into high school, I decided that I was choosing my own path and told myself that I was going to go to college and play football. My mindset was set, and this was now my life. Like, my life. Nothing else was in it. And when I was a junior in high school, I was offered a scholarship to play football at Stanford. I accepted as quick as I could, and in the back of my head, I was patting myself on the back, knowing that it was all of my hard work that got me that scholarship and nothing else. Everything was going according to plan until the beginning of my senior year, when I snapped my collarbone in half a week before the first game. I can honestly say that I've never been so angry and jealous and confused in my life. Angry because this happened right when things were falling into place, and now I couldn't play for 6 weeks. Jealous because I had to watch everyone else play the sport that I had centered my whole life around, and confused as to why this had to happen at this time. But despite all of that, I didn't let that injury weaken my mindset for setting my own path. And once I found out that I had my scholarship still, I worked hard enough and ended up playing in the final 7 games of my season. I thought that once again things were back under my control, and then the unthinkable happened one day in December of my senior year. I got a call from the Stanford football offices, and they told me that the head coach was leaving to the NFL, and that it was very likely that I would not be able to keep my scholarship. The pause from my end of the phone let them know that I heard what they had said, and at that they told me good luck and hung up the phone. Now, remember when I said that breaking my collarbone was the worst thing that ever happened? Yeah, I lied. Now I was more angry and frustrated and jealous than ever, and I immediately rushed over to the house of my girlfriend, who's now my fiance, and told her about the call I just received. She looked at me and she said that maybe this was a sign that it wasn't meant to be, but I looked back at her as if to say, what do you mean a sign? This was never meant to happen. I planned everything out. I had told everyone that I was going to this school and told all the other colleges that I wasn't interested in their other schools because I was committed to Stanford. The worst part was that all the high school athletes had to decide what college they were going to in 2 months, so most of the colleges had given up all of their scholarships already. Now, all of a sudden I felt so lost and I didn't know what to do, so I was sitting on my girlfriend's floor crying and crying. And she looked at me and asked me if I wanted to pray, and I thought to myself, might as well, I can use all the help I can get. So we were praying for a little while, and then she looked at me again and asked if I wanted to accept Jesus into my life. And I had gone to church with her before, and it was a Christian church, and I liked the services, but I never really understood, how they could have so much passion. But I looked at her, and almost without hesitation, I said, yeah. So she went to go tell her dad everything that just happened, and they both came into the room, and when they came in, I was still sitting down and crying, and they both grabbed my hands, and her dad started to pray for me. He asked God to guide me down the path that was made for me, and the whole time he was praying, I was saying something in the lines of, please God, I need your help, I don't know what to do, and I trust you. Now I promise you, no matter how crazy this sounds, when I said this, I felt a set of hands place themselves on my shoulders, but when I looked up, my girlfriend's hands were on my left hand, and her dad's were on my right. It was like God was telling me not to fear the future anymore because he would take care of me always. And it was then that I knew that I could really trust God and never had to worry about planning things so far ahead ever again. Now, after my accepting Jesus, my life seemed to get much happier at first, and better. A couple weeks later, I got a call from a school in Chicago called Northwestern. Never heard of it. They wanted to fly me out here and offer me a scholarship. So the whole time I was here visiting the campus, I couldn't help but thank God over and over for what he was doing for me. And once I decided to go here, about 4 months later, I proposed to my girlfriend. Again, I just had to thank God for all he was blessing me with. Accepting Jesus into my life helped open up my eyes to see how much God provided for me, and how I could always trust him to take care of me. No more did I feel that anger and frustration when things seemed to be going wrong. I became a firm believer in the saying that God lets all things happen for his own reason. I just had to have faith in him and continue to grow and get to know him. The one thing that I've noticed after accepting Jesus, however, is how it's even harder to continue to be a devoted Christian. I still struggle with sin just like many other people, but now I'm able to ignore it all thanks to Jesus and what he's done for me. He makes me inspired to love him more and more every day through his word and hearing people like Pastor Jason speak about the gospel. That alone is what keeps me going. the motivation I have to not slip up because it kills me to disappoint Jesus. I try my best to improve my relationship with God every day. It can be a struggle sometimes too, but in the end, I will always want to have a strong relationship with Him. And every time I am with my fiance, talking with my parents, meeting for a Bible study with all the wonderful people in my group, or even when I'm just sitting in class or running around at football practice, I always try to stop and take the time to thank God for all that He has blessed me with. And this occasion, this evening, will give me just one more reason to thank Him again tonight. Today I'm getting baptized because I want to continue to strengthen my relationship and further my walk with God, and because I'm a sinner who wants and needs to be saved. Thank you.